from each happily ever after, every wish upon a star. Let's break down the movies that shaped who we are, from memory lane to now and everything in between. The most famous of films to the ones we've never seen. Decade by decade, all the times we laughed and cried, and with a little pixie dust, they will all take flight, reliving the feelings, and we're trying our very best. And if they mean the same to you, please be our guest. So hop aboard, we would love to have you as we hang with a certain mouth, the whole gang too. If you love nostalgia stuff, we hope this does the trick. Thanks for joining us as we deep dive the magic.
Hi, and welcome back to the Deep Diving the Magic podcast. I'm KJ.
And I'm Jeffrey. And we are back again with the 72nd Disney feature-length film from July the 8th, 1964. It is a film called The Moon Spinners. Moon Spinners is a live-action film. It's a live-action mystery adventure. It is loosely based on the 1962 suspense novel of the same name by Mary Stewart. And it is the return of our friend Hayley Mills. I would say I think this is her second to last film with the company. But before we dive too deep into the Moon Spinners, would you like to start us off with a synopsis or maybe some opening thoughts?
Yeah. A teenager encounters romance, intrigue, and a search for stolen jewels during her visit to the island of Crete.
Have you ever heard of the island in Crete before?
Yes.
Yeah, I had no idea where it was.
Greece.
Yeah, well, I knew that afterwards, but yeah, so it's definitely like a drama-y adventure kind of film.
And like you said, I think it is the 5th out of 6 movie for her
Hayley
contract.
Mills.
Yeah.
She's growing up.
Yes.
She's growing up. Did you have any other facts or anything before we dive right in?
Well, she is growing up. She is like around the time of 17 years old when they filmed this. And in some of my research, she had discussed how she had body image issues after watching this movie. She is quoted saying that she felt like she looked like a fat pig in the pink outfit that she wore in the majority of this film. And I don't see that at all.
No.
But it gave her some body image issues, and she talked about having like an eating disorder after this. But then after she gave birth to her first child, she was able to correct that, and now she is a very strong advocate for healthy eating and living.
No, that's important. So that's sad.
Yeah.
They love to pair her up with guys that are much older than her.
Yeah. I didn't look to see how much older he was than her. Did you?
No, but
I felt like they looked closer in age than.
No.
Really? I thought they did, but okay.
Anything else before we dive right in?
No.
All right. So we start off for the Moon Spinners here. We during the opening credits, we see some windmills and some beachfront, both of which will play into the film a little bit later. We learn that it is the island of Crete, like we said, and we see a bus full of tourists. It's a very uncomfortable bus ride. This is where we meet Hayley Mills' character, Nikki, and her aunt, whose name I did not write down. What do you got for her aunt's name there?
Frances.
All right, her aunt, Frances.
Yep.
They are on this uncomfortable, unpleasant bus ride where everything smells like fish, and it's just uncomfortable.
There's like legit a big fish that is just flopping in front of her face during this.
And they are going to whatever, they arrive at their destination, wherever they're trying to go. And they get told that that like the hotel that they're staying at, or the inn or whatever, is like up the hill, and they get up there and they see that there's like a wedding ceremony going on. They get led to the hotel by this younger kid, I don't even know what his name is. Alexis, maybe?
Yeah.
Alexis. He takes him up on horseback, or I'm sorry, donkey back. They're riding like very uncomfortably, where like their legs are hanging off the same side, I guess because they had dresses on or whatever.
Mhm.
But they get up there and they get up to the hotel and they learn that the hotel is not open to visitors. Basically, like they're like, but we sent the telegram. They're like, well, we never received the telegram, and it's not open for visitors.
Or did they?
Well, we'll never know. I mean, either way, so they get told that they're not. There's no room for them, and it's not open for visitors, and they won't. But then they learn that there is empty rooms, but they won't give them one of the empty rooms. So then the young kid Alexis is like fighting for them. They end up allowing them to stay in the room for one night.
Yeah.
We learn that Alexis's uncle, whose name is
Stratos,
is the guy who doesn't want them to stay at the inn. He's kind of like a very like suspicious gentleman.
And his sister Sophia is Alexis's mother, who in the beginning was telling them that there was no room and they couldn't stay.
Yeah, and then so this guy doesn't want them to stay there, but they are allowed to stay for one day because the kid convinces them, pretty much. So they find their room or whatever. They go up there to like change for the wedding that they didn't even know they were going to. Nikki looks out the window. She sees this half naked spear fisherman kid guy. Am I wrong?
He's like in swimwear because he's been out on the boat.
Okay.
Just the way you described it, half naked. Anyway,
he was, and he had a spear.
Yeah.
So whatever, they end up getting all like dressed all fancy to attend this wedding reception for people that they don't even know. And down there, conveniently, the spear fisherman guy, now wearing more clothes, is also there, and we learn that his name is Mark. And they decide that they're all going to eat together.
Yeah. When she got dressed up to go to this was a whole nother movie where I was like, oh, I am not a fan of her hairstyle. What is this? I don't know what it is.
But either way, so the hairstyle got this kid to come sit with them after he put some clothes on. I don't know. They don't know each other, so I don't know why that he sat with them, but maybe
because they were from England too.
Oh, okay.
He was from England, and she had told her aunt earlier. She's like, well, if there are any Englishmen here, they're going to be probably in their 60s or 70s and like old professors or something.
Yeah, she likes older men.
And then she just happens to look out the window and finds him. And then Alexis is like, yeah.
He's not really a 60-year-old man. He's
not.
He's probably in his 20s.
But I guess Alexis had told Mark about them being two ladies from England. So he's like, well, put us at a table together and we'll sit together or whatever. Like, well, I guess it kind of makes sense, even though he doesn't know them. He doesn't know anybody else at the wedding either. So they have something in common.
That's right. So this Uncle Stratos dude is not pleased by this because again, he doesn't want him to stay there. And then they're like, but you know, they're like, oh, your hotel's name is the Moon Spinners. What does that mean? And they're like, oh, it's a song, but it's also like a tale or like a legend of three sisters who spin the full moon, and then when there's a full moon, the treasures can be found in the bay, basically like the Bay of Dolphins or whatever they call it. Nikki goes back up to her room for something, and she like sees the Uncle Stratos dude is like snooping through their stuff, and basically he's like, oh, it's because I was looking for my books or whatever. This used to be my room, but clearly he was just snooping. Did I miss anything there or no? All right. And then Mark invites Nikki to like go swimming in the bay in the morning. So romantic. They notice a full moon, so they talk about the moon spinners again, and they're working extra hard. And then Uncle Stratos, like, so basically whatever, Nikki goes up to her room to like get some sleep because they're gonna go swimming in the morning, and then this Stratos dude like stops Mark and like tries to talk him into going like night fishing with him. So he's like, oh, you're a fisherman. You're a fisherman. Come night fishing with me. But Mark's like, no, like I don't know you. Why are you fishing at night? Blah blah blah. So then Mark decides to follow him while he goes fishing.
Another time, he said. Another time.
Yeah. Nikki is up in her room gushing over Mark to her aunt, who's an interesting character. And then
basically just tells her, turn the light off, honey. And she just
turns
the light off above their head. There's no light switch. She literally reaches up and just turns the light off.
It's probably hot.
I guess. I
know.
She's like, you're ruining my beauty sleep.
What does she think is more hot, like the light bulb or the half naked?
Well, he's not half naked now, so keep going.
Either way, so Mark decides that he's going to go spy on this dude. So then while he's spying on him, somebody else spots him, and Stratos spots him and like shines the light on him, and then this other dude from the shore like shoots him with a gun. Like some other assailant shoots him with a gun.
I think it's Stratos' cousin.
Okay, yeah, some guy.
He's related to Stratos in some way. Because it's like a family-run inn.
Yeah, some would say that they're all related, but so he gets shot, and then he falls into the water, but the boat is unable to like find him.
Yeah,
like so it leaves it on like a cliffhanger. That like this dude's been shot, he falls into the water, but they can't find him.
Yep.
This is a Disney movie. So the next morning, Nikki is up early. She's excited for her swim, but then she's upset to find out that not only is Mark not there, but he checked out early in the morning.
And didn't even leave a note there was anything.
No message left behind. So this dude's not there anymore.
She fell in love with him, and he's gone.
He just took off his shirt and he was going to spear some more fish. No, I'm just kidding. So he is, for what she knows, he checked out. So then she's all upset that this happened. Stratos is seen, like he's like watching Nikki from like the window, but he's also like packing up all of Mark's stuff to like get it out of the room. So then Nikki's like, all right, well, I'm going to go to the water anyway. Whatever. So she decides to go to the water. She actually finds like a shoe. She doesn't know it's Mark's shoe, but she just finds like one shoe.
Yeah. If she would have really been in love with him, she would have known it was his shoe because she would have paid attention to every detail.
I mean, to be fair, they didn't know about Cinderella's shoe, and then they made a whole like scene about it.
He knew that it
was. Well, yeah, he knew it was her shoe, but he didn't know whose shoe it went to. So I guess this is like the opposite.
Cinderella. He was trying to find her.
Yeah. So it's like the opposite of this. So whatever.
She would have known.
She ends up wandering.
Obviously not true love.
She ends up wandering on the beach, and then she ends up going into an empty church because of course she would. And then she's shocked to see like a trail of blood.
Yeah, she's following a trail of
so
blood.
She ends up following into this creepy basement, and then it's like a really tense scene, and then all of a sudden like a hand pops out in like the first Disney jump scare. I guess this is the first jump scare in a Disney movie.
And the sad thing is,
it gotcha.
I felt like I knew it was coming.
It gotcha.
And it still got me.
It gotcha.
It got me.
So like this hand jumps out.
Yeah.
And we realize that it's an injured Mark. Obviously he's been shot. But he wants to like he hides.
I've been shot. You're welcome.
That's not what he says at all.
No, but that's what I say.
Yeah, no. Yeah, try watching the Disney fireworks with KJ every single time I go off. She says she's been shot.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of watching them, so.
Oh, shush. So whatever, it's an injured Mark, and then he's like hiding the truth from her, but then she finds out that his arm is injured.
Yeah.
There we go.
Back to the jump scare. How many more Disney movies do you think there will be jump scares in?
Oh, probably a dozen.
Okay. This is number 1, y'all. Number 1. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Keep it counter. Deep dive in the magicpod@gmail.com. Whatever. She wants to go to the police, but he doesn't want anybody to know.
Yeah.
And he won't tell her why. Or he won't tell her who it was. So then he's like, just get out of here. Go get me some some change of clothes and some alcohol.
Brandy. Make sure you bring some brandy.
Yeah. He's a real sweetheart. So whatever. She goes back to the hotel, and then she sees Uncle Strauss, who's drinking at the bar really early in the morning. And then she goes up to Mark's room, but it's completely empty. But she's able to go back into her room where she sneaks a blanket, a first aid kit, and then she goes back to the bar where she like crawls down and like sneaks in, and she's able to like steal a bottle of alcohol for his wounds. And there's like this like group of singing ladies out front, and like this one lady's like seeing like the bottle like moving on its own, and she's like, "What's going on?"
Yeah. Was kind of interesting.
Yeah, they're like just
and
singing.
The blanket is later referred to as a travel rug, and I had never heard that before.
Hey, I don't know. So whatever, she goes back to like to tell this to try to help him, but at the same time,
and hang on, time out. Going back to this hotel, if you watch this movie, you cannot tell me that this hotel does not have the weirdest doors. Like, you can be in your hotel room and just look out the slats. It has slats in the doorways. Like old school closets, but bigger.
I mean, you've never been to Crete before.
I mean, you could stand outside the door and just look up into the room too. Just creepy. What kind of hotel has doors like that?
The jump scare.
Okay, anyway.
So whatever. In the meantime, Nikki's aunt is like questioning Stratos as to why her blanket and first aid kit are missing.
Travel rug.
Yeah, like she doesn't know why this stuff's missing, which then alerts the Jew at the possibility of Mark being found.
First of all, these people haven't been that very welcoming to you. Why are you going to go ask them where these people are?
Because they're in charge.
And where your things are.
Because they're in charge.
Without first talking to your niece.
Well, because you can't find her.
I know.
That becomes the whole thing later.
She just put them in danger and has no idea. But she's just put them in danger. It's like, why? Disney movie. Yeah. Disney magic.
Whatever. She gets to Mark. She tells him that his room is bare. She tends to his wounds. He is adamant about not wanting to tell her what happened. So because he doesn't want her to get involved. He tells her to flee town. He's like, take your aunt and flee the town, get on the bus, blah blah blah. She tells him that he deserves to die a horrible death, which I think is lovely. That's true love right there. You deserve to die a horrible death. So whatever. She's going back to the town. And like while she's walking there, she runs into Uncle Stratos. He questions her, and he like opens the thing and finds like the bloody first aid kit. And she's like, "Oh, I found a shepherd." When
she was administering first aid, she tells him that she's like, "Well, I was never good at this at school." So then after she says that, she's looking at his arm. I wonder if there's anything in here I should dig out. He's like, "No,
just leave it in there."
And I was sitting there thinking, would you let somebody that just told you that they sucked at first aid dig in your arm? No, never. But I did find that humorous anyway.
So, whatever. On her way back, she runs into Stratos. He sees the bloody whatever. And she's like, "Oh, I found a shepherd who broke his leg, and he's in the mountains."
He asked her what she was doing, and she said she was looking for rocks.
Yeah.
She's like, "I collect rocks." And he was like, "Oh, and you just carry them in your bag?" "Yes." "Well, how many rocks did you find?"
"Not many."
None, actually.
Yeah,
none.
Yeah.
And then he grabs her bag, and then that's when he grabs the first aid kit and looks in it and finds the bloody gauze looking like stuff.
So she says she has to blame on a shepherd. She attempts to leave, but the uncle like grabs her.
The shepherd fell and broke his leg, and she had to administer first aid. She is a terrible liar.
I mean, what would you say at the time too? But either way.
But then she said that, "Oh, we can't go find him," because Stratos is like, "Oh, well, you need to take me to him. We need to go help him." And she's like, "Oh no, he was able to get up and walk away." And he's like, "With a broken leg?"
Yeah, and then he goes, "Well, they always walk into the church," and then
church.
Yep, he drags her into the church.
What an idiot.
He drags her with him into the church, and they find the bloody blankets, but they can't find Mark. So then he questions Nikki about how much she knows.
How much did he tell you?
and then whatever, they can't find him. So then it cuts back to the inn, and Uncle Stratos is arguing with his sister, the innkeeper, who's Alexis's mother. And he's like, he's just diving deeper and deeper into madness at this point. The next scene, we see that there's an injured Mark who's like running into the mountains. Okay, yeah, so he's like running in the mountains, and he's like being trailed by Uncle Stratos and his men, looking for him. They say that this time they're going to shoot to kill, which is a Disney movie. Mark is like running through the mountains, and he hears like
Disney magic.
Like those like recorders that you had to play in like school.
Mm-hmm.
Kids our age will know what I'm talking about.
Kids our age.
Cousin Alexis is just like playing one of those recorders.
Yeah.
So he like hears him, so he goes up to him. He tells Alexis to like go back to the inn to see if Nikki and her aunt escaped. And then it cuts to like it flips to Nikki is actually tied up inside of a windmill.
Mm-hmm.
Like behind like the windmill part of it, basically. Like
she's inside the windmill.
Yeah, but it's like
it's a building.
Yeah,
it has a windmill on the front of
it. Yeah, so okay. She's like, so sorry for going into detail, grump over there. Whatever. So she screams. Alexis hears her.
And he says that he'll go get Mark and they'll rescue her.
Mm-hmm. But then it cuts to later that evening where the aunt, whatever her name is very concerned about Nikki not coming back. She wants to call the police, but again, Stratos is like, no, we can't call the police. Again, diving into more and more madness. The innkeeper's sister is like, at this point, she is just like questioning this dude.
Yeah, she's like, what have you done?
Yeah, like just tell me what happened. And he like they get into an argument, and then he threatens her son, which is cousin Alexis.
Well, it's just Alexis.
Yeah, well, his nephew. Sorry,
yes.
Nephew Alexis. So then we see Alexis and Mark. They're running towards the windmill to try to break in to save Nikki. They can't get in the door. But then Alexis is like, oh, I'm a pro at this. And he just like grabs like the windmill, like the fan arm thing, and just like rides it up to like the window and hops in. And he's like, yeah, I do it all the time. It's pretty impressive. He cuts her free, and she like goes to give him a hug, and he says, no time to make love. You get out of here. That was funny. He keeps saying, no time to make love. No time to make love.
Yeah, there were several times where he speaks, and it sounds like it's supposed to be like broken English. Because there was one thing that he said, and it was like, my dyslexic brain was like, wait, did he just say that backwards? Because that sounded
no correct. Time to make love. But at the same time, homeboy is walking by with his gun. They end up whatever. They get out of the windmill. They have to like force Nikki to like jump onto the windmill and ride it down, and then just like she almost falls and whatever. She makes it. Right.
Yep.
Stratos breaks into the windmill like through the door, finds that she's not in there. At the same time, Mark and Nikki are trying to flee, but they end up getting an argument. She slaps him, or whatever, love story.
Because he still won't tell her what's actually going on.
And then he
they
tells
end up
her
finding the ruins of an ancient temple of Apollo.
Yep. And he keeps telling her like, stop talking. He's like, if you keep wasting your time jabbering, you won't live long enough to find out. And then he's like, fine, I'm a criminal wanted all over Europe. He's like, I'm a master criminal wanted all over Europe. They laugh about it, but we'll find out. One of Stratos' men ended up getting in a fight with Mark or whatever, but Nikki hits him with a gun, knocks him out. They run away. She's like, we have to stick together, which I thought was funny because I wrote that she has to practice sticking together from the Parent Trap song. the Stick Together song. So at that point, they end up hiding out in the hidden temple, or the haunted temple, like you said. It's like haunted, but it's really just full of cats.
Yeah, there were cats in there, and then he discussed how on the island of Crete, cats are bad luck.
Mhm.
I did do a deep dive into this, and I could find
You deep dove the deep dove.
the deep dive, yeah. And there was nothing that said that cats are bad luck on the island of Crete. They're fed by tourists. There's a lot of stray cats there apparently, and they're fed by tourists. And the only thing I saw on there about bad luck was black cats, which seems to be a stereotypical thing.
But they hide in this haunted temple, and it's at this point that he finally tells Nikki that he used to work at a bank, and he is wanted for stealing the jewels from the Countess. Basically, he didn't do it. He was like transporting them from her from the bank.
He went to go transport them to her, but he didn't wait for security like he normally would
because he had a date.
And he didn't want to be late for his date, so he just went on. And then he said the last thing he remembers was standing on her front porch, and he had rang the doorbell. And then when he came to, he had a big knot on the back of his head, and the jewels were gone.
Yeah, but he's certain that the person that did it to him was Uncle Stratos. Stratos. I'm not sure how he got to that idea. I forgot. I
don't remember.
So whatever. He thinks that Stratos is the person that got the jewels, which is why he went to Crete. So now we know what's going on. At the same time, Stratos he enters the haunted temple. But he ends up getting attacked by a bunch of cats, and he runs away. So the cats end up protecting the people. But then they're like, okay, we're safe in here. We're going to go to sleep. And they're woken in the morning by this very nicely dressed gentleman. This random guy.
And then he says, please, young lady, stop pointing that gun at me.
Yeah. And
then somehow he quickly grabs the gun from her, and then he's pointing.
Yeah. So he says that he's the village consul. And he's like, you're in rough shape. My wife is a nurse. She's going to take care of you.
Yep.
Whatever. So he takes the pair of them to his wife, the nurse. They go to the consul's house. It's like this beautiful house. And he introduces them to the wife, who is going to take care of them. And then after he has them go off with the wife, he goes into the side room, and then who's in there but Stratos.
He's his partner in crime.
Yeah, this guy is Stratos' partner,
and he has duped them.
Yep. He was very nicely dressed.
Basically telling Stratos that it's all your fault that we haven't already been successful with this.
Yeah, so clearly this dude was actually the mastermind. Yeah. Stratos was just one of his soldiers, basically. That makes sense.
One of his minions.
Yeah.
Yes. So they are in this house being lavishly taken care of. His wife ends up talking to Nikki and talks about how I really miss things back home. And she's kind of talking about England with her, and how they don't have all the things that they had back home. And she has nobody to talk to. She seems really lonely. And then she talks about how Mark's not doing very well, and we need to probably get him to the hospital. And then Nikki's like, yeah, I'll talk to him.
Yep. At the meantime, the two men are arguing over the plan, and the new consul guy assures that he will deal with Nikki and Mark. So it's out of Stratos' hand at this point. And at this point that we see this giant yacht is in the water that's approaching the town. And we find out that on this yacht is Madame Habib. This is Madame Habib's yacht.
I'm pretty sure the wife told Nikki that, because then Nikki goes to talk to Mark and convince him he needs to go to the hospital.
Yeah, but Mark's been drugged.
yeah, and he, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so he is laying in bed. She's telling him that he needs to go to the hospital, and then she tells him about this lady coming, the madam
Habib.
coming
Yep.
on the yacht, and then he was like, "Oh gosh, this is where it's going to go down at. They really do have the stuff, and we've got to like intercept this." And then she's like, "Well, you stay right here because you're not doing good." Da, da, da. And then he falls over in the floor after she walked out to go get help.
Yeah. So to back you up on that, yeah. Mark hears about this and he's like, "Oh, Shreos is gonna sell Madame Habib the Countess's jewels
Mm-hmm.
because she's like famous for having all these jewels and all these
Mm-hmm.
delicacies and stuff." Make sense?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah, I know, but like exactly. So, but yeah, he's drugged at the same time. But then at the same, so somebody also must have called Nikki's aunt because, well, Stratos probably told through the grapevine or whatever. So then Nikki's aunt shows up at the house. She's all excited that Nikki's safe, and they're getting sent to the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Mark is completely out of it, and the other of them, and they end up getting in the back of a hearse to go to the airport.
Mm-hmm. Because that was
Um,
the only transport they had.
um, and then, but they're like the hearse is like going towards the airport, and they get stuck in this like large Mardi Gras type party parade.
Yeah, I looked it up because I was very confused over what kind of festival this was, and it was the annual festival parade in Crete.
Yeah, it was a very Mardi Gras esque. And it's kept like
Mm-hmm.
getting in the way and causing bumps in the road and stuff. Um, but while they're stuck, Mark wakes up and he's like, "I gotta get out of here. I gotta go to the inn. I gotta try to stop the plan."
And then he said that she gave him some pills, but he'd only taken one, and I think she tried to drug me, and I think he may have drugged her because she was acting really weird in the
Yeah,
house
she
earlier.
was very like drunk esque.
And he said, so I was
The
just,
wife was.
yeah, he said I was just faking the whole thing.
Oh,
And then he jumped out of the hearse.
so, but he's like before he jumped out of the hearse, he's like, "Nikki, you have to get on the airplane with your aunt for safety." And then he kisses Nikki.
Yeah. True love right there. She's not going to leave now.
Yeah, he kisses Nikki and he jumps out of the back. Um, and then cuts to whatever more scenes with more nonsense going on with this Mardi Gras parade. So then Nikki writes like a note on like the window of the hearse and jumps out after Mark.
Yep.
I don't know what I didn't write down what the letter
either.
said, but whatever. So she writes a note and then she jumps out. Mm-hmm. They end up getting stuck, like trying to flee on this Mardi Gras parade. I wrote kind of like in the Littlest Outlaw film. And then, but Mark is able to like get through enough to get on a bus, but Nikki is unfortunately like Nikki misses the bus because she's like behind. Guess she had to learn how to spell her note faster, so whatever. She's just on the bus, but then we see that the yacht is like arrived, and so Nikki's like, "Okay, cool. I'm just gonna steal this motorboat."
Yep.
And I'm going to go to the yacht myself.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So she drives like in front of the yacht to try to get its attention. She's just like doing circles and stuff. And then
she needs to get on.
Yeah, like one of like the crewmen goes to this really bougie jewel clad lady, who has a cheetah.
Yeah.
She just like has a cheetah as a pet. And it's actually funny is like the picture on Disney Plus is like this just this cheetah that really doesn't play that big of a part, but whatever. So she whatever this bougie.
It was actually supposed to be a regular cat, like a big cat.
Okay.
Like a house cat.
It's a pretty big cat.
But I think it was actually the lady that played Madame Habib's actual pet, and she wanted it to be in this specific movie.
It like cowers in fear later, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah. And I don't know if I put it in my notes. I think I just read over and thought it was. Oh, so the big cat pet belonged to Madame Habib. I don't know how you say her real name. Paula.
She's a famous silent film actress.
But was originally supposed to be a domestic cat in the original script, but her suggestion was to change it to a cheetah. And from what I remember, I think her partner died or something, and she named it after, because I think he was known as like a famous Latin lover in some film or something, and whatever his other nickname was or something, she had named the cheetah.
Oh. Well,
So
either way,
that's
so
why she was like, no, let's put this in
yeah,
there. And that's
so
why there was not just a big cat. It was actually a cheetah.
Habib has this cheetah, which is again ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know all of that, but so whatever. They end up letting this Nikki on. She's like drenched. She's like begging Habib not to buy the jewels
Mm-hmm.
and says that they belong to the Countess. And then and he explains the whole thing about what happened and Stratos' attack and everything. And uh I don't even know where I'm at. Whatever. Whatever. Habib is like, I don't understand what's going on here. This is the crazy night of my life.
Mm-hmm.
She references Alice in Wonderland randomly.
Mm-hmm.
And then it cuts to the inn where Mark is spying on Stratos, but
He gets into a fight with him to try to get the stuff because he follows him and he's got the jewels.
mm-hmm.
And he tries to get the jewels from him and is then knocked off into the water.
That's right.
He tries multiple times to go back and cross and kill him, and then
Oh, yeah, that's right.
his last attempt
in the boat.
Yeah,
they're in the boat. Okay,
he throws a spear at Mark, and Alexis had witnessed the whole thing, so he ran to go get help.
oh, that's right. He goes get the cops.
But then, like obviously, like he didn't actually kill Mark. He went straight on to go on to Habib, so that way he could sell the
That's right.
jewels.
They were like fighting on the boat while the boat was moving. That's so Mark falls overboard. He tries to kill him with a harpoon. You're correct there. The cousin gets the cops, and then he also tells Nikki's aunt. So whatever. We're on the yacht now. Habib's there with the jewels. We find out that they're the emeralds from Catherine the Great.
Mm-hmm.
And then a cold and wet Nikki, who's like hiding in the closet, ends up like sneezing or something, and then like he finds her. And then, but at the same time, the police arrive, and they get into this big fight.
Actually, Mark arrives, and the two of them get into a big fight, and then the police run in. And then Habib is like, arrest them. And they grab him. And she's like, no, not the young one, the older one.
But like while they're fighting, the cheetah ends up like hiding underneath the table. Like he's like scared. But whatever. Stratos is officially arrested. Mark and Nikki argue, but then they kiss. And then, it's a love story, I guess. And then Habib decides to celebrate, and then she's like, oh, I know the Countess, I'm going to return these jewels, like she's a friend of mine. And then she decides that she's going to return them, and then the yacht sails away, and we have a happily ever after. And I got really confused towards the end of this, as my notes were.
So she supposedly is a friend of the Countess, but then Mark's like, well, can you give me the other half of the necklace, because the necklace did break when him and Stratos got into a fight inside of the yacht. And she gives him the other half of what she had left of the jewels, and then she takes her cheetah and goes to her bedroom. Then you see Alexis and the police in the water on a boat, and then he's waving. I don't know if it was police. Anyway, he's in the boat with other people. He's waving at them because Mark and Nikki are leaving with her aunt, and he was implying that they would be married by the time they came back to Crete, maybe.
And that'd be a quick marriage.
I mean, they were going home at that point. So he said, like, the next time you return to Crete, maybe.
Oh, on the yacht. The yacht was just going home.
Yeah, the yacht was going home.
I didn't get that at all. But whatever, we made it happily ever after. Do you have any trivia, or before we talk about thoughts and stuff?
Sure. So the movie was released 2 years after its the source novel of the same name came to be published.
It's not like exactly the same though, right? They said it was different.
No, there was some differences, yes. Despite good reviews and Haley Mills' popularity with young audiences at the time, this movie failed at the box office. So then, rather than being reissued in theaters, it was initially shown 2 years later in 3 parts on the Disney Sunday night television show. And then, like I said, Haley Mills had developed some body image issues when she was filming this. And then this film cost $5 million at the time and was one of Walt Disney Productions' most expensive live action movie productions.
More money than 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? Because that was a lot of money.
I guess, at the cost of $5 million. And it was the 5th of 6 movies that Haley Mills made for Walt Disney Productions, like you mentioned earlier. And then this movie was supposed to be filmed in the style of a mystery suspense or Alfred Hitchcock movie.
This movie, I said it multiple times while we were watching it. Like, I feel like it was like they just made it nighttime, because they filmed
At
during the
certain
day,
times,
and then they just like put like a filter on to make it look like it was night because it was like a weird lighting.
yeah.
But either way, what do you think? What'd you rate it?
I don't know. I guess because of the Moon pilot, I thought I was really gonna like this one too, and I didn't like it like I thought I was gonna like it. And I love.
So you're 1 for 2 on Moon movies?
Yeah, and I really love like mystery thriller novels. So maybe I would like the book better. Maybe it wouldn't be as confusing.
It was confusing.
IMDb gave it a 6.5 out of 10, and I was nice and gave it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a better Haley Mills film than Pollyanna, but she's had better Haley Mills films.
Yeah.
So does this cheetah
No,
make its way onto your list?
this does not run onto my list.
So then what is your...
Oh, and I did find in one of my trivia things at one point when they were filming, I guess Haley startled the cheetah and it jumped at her, causing her to hit something, and she actually ended up with a burn on her arm. I didn't write it down, but I did read it.
What you get?
Anyway.
So what?
Top 10.
Top list upon a star?
Yeah, so I'm still going to have 101 Dalmatians, The Parent Trap, Sleeping Beauty, Dumbo, Lady and the Tramp, The Three Caballeros, Moon Pilot, not Moon Spinners, but Moon Pilot, The Shaggy Dog, Peter Pan, and Alice in Wonderland.
So as I said on our last episode, that I had a lot of animal films on my list that aren't cats, clearly, because this cheetah does not make it on my list. But my list is 101 Dalmatians, Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland. There's a cat in Alice in Wonderland. Babes in Toyland, Pinocchio. There's a cat in Pinocchio. The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. A lot of animals in there. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. A lot of animals in there. Sleeping Beauty. There's a dragon in there. Lady and the Tramp. You got some pups there, and the Swiss Family Robinson. So
I can't believe you forgot the owl in Sleeping Beauty.
You know my love for owls, but the dragon kind of takes over for the owl now. But so thank you for watching. Thank you for making it through this film with us. It was whatever. There's some better Haley Mills films out there. Even she will agree. But again, we are on Instagram. We are on Spotify. We are on YouTube, so you can see my lovely face. Let us know if you jumped scared during that jump scare. Deep Dive in the Magic Pod at gmail.com. Our next film. Okay. Now, I'm not sure if you've heard this next film. Our next film is a little bit obscure. We're going over to August of 1964. Mm-hmm. It's a small independent film. It's actually a small film that the Disney company made. I'm not sure if you've heard about it, but it's called Mary Poppins. We are diving into Mary Poppins next, my friends. So we will see you then for a deep dive on the film that changed the game, Mary Poppins. We'll see you then.
Thanks for deep diving the magic.
Bye.